Hello everyone and welcome to Katharine's Creatures. This is episode 69 and this is a series where we get to talk a little about and touch base upon various mythological beasts, beings, and the like pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I am not a linguist, and so if I mispronounce anything along the way, I apologize in advance. Now with that said, I wanted to jump back towards Norse mythology, and this is one of my favorite mythos. I write about it extensively in the Guardian Speaker series, and actually talk a lot about this particular entity that we're about to discuss. And what we're going to be talking about today is the Hamingja, which is the singular, or Hamingjur, the plural. And this actually is an entity that is part of the four parts of self. So I know modern people kind of think of mind, body, and soul, so three parts. At least here in the US, for most people, usually that's the concept. Well, in the people during the Viking era, so the Nordic cultures, even the Icelandic, they thought of the person having four parts, and they're comprised as Hammer, the physical body, Hugur, which is kind of the mind soul combined, Hamingja, which is what we're going to talk about today, and the Fujir, which I've already kind of touched base on, and they're your animal-shaped guardian spirits. But Hamingja and Fujir both have a lot of similarities. So if you've listened to that little spiel before, you'll probably kind of remember and recognize, again, lots of similarities with the two. Now, Hamingja in particular are these all female entities, and they are your guardians and protectors of luck and even happiness for the person. And they accompany them throughout the lives. Everybody's supposed to have one. And accompany them throughout their lives, again, deciding if they're going to have good luck or bad luck, if they're going to, how happy they are going to be throughout their lives. And yeah, they're definitely very important. And in the lore, they can also be transferred to other family members. When I write about them, I defined that concept by bloodline, so you could pass someone else if you share your bloodline. But in Old Norse myth, that's not necessarily always the case. You can pass them down when someone dies to your a beloved family member. But there has been a case documented in one of the old stories where a person actually asked his ruler, if he could be lent the Hamingja some good luck because he was about to do a dangerous journey. And this was Hjalti Skeggison in his story when he was dealing with Olaf II of Norway, that ruler. So interesting stuff that, these entities can actually be transferred a little back and forth with certain people. But yeah, they determine happiness and luck and good fortune or bad fortune. So they are very important and something to be respected. As for what they look like, they are described as all female. Kind of again like the Hamingja. Sometimes they're mentioned as having an animal shape rather than a human-like shape, but since they're an entity that most people can't see, probably leaving it to the Seeresses, so the Volver of their community, could probably see them and identify them. It's kind of hard to say what they look like. Outside, we know they're all female. And another thing that was kind of interesting is the word Hamingja today is actually still used in modern Icelandic as the word for happiness. And so there you go. It's still around today in language, this kind of concept that has evolved over time. Now, going back to the fact that some of the original meanings, again, these guardians of fate, but the word Hamingja kind of gets a little muddied at times because sometimes it applies to shapeshifters, again, kind of giving a nod to the potential that they could take on an animal form. So the word is used broadly in different ways. And so when you're talking about the entity, we're usually referring to these creatures, these female entities of fate. Now, if you have any questions for me about this or anything else, post them in the comments below or message me on any kind of social media, and we will talk next time. Skål.